Hello, and welcome to the first in a series of lessons on expansion of algebraic terms or expressions. Today I'll be starting with the foundational concepts of expansion of algebraic terms, and I'll be summarizing how you can easily expand simple algebraic expressions. Let's begin. Expansion simply means removal of brackets in algebraic expressions. Remember, factoring just means you are introducing a bracket in an algebraic expression. So expansion is the opposite of factoring. Okay? So when we remove a bracket, we distribute the number that is outside the bracket to the content of the bracket. What do we mean? For example, let's say we have 6 into bracket 3x minus 2. Now this is an algebraic expression. It's got a number that's outside the bracket, in this case it is 6, and it's got some terms that are found within the bracket 3x minus 2. Okay, so the value 6 affects all the contents of the bracket. In other words, the value 6 affects 3x and it affects the negative 2. So when we say we distribute the number that is outside the bracket to the content of the bracket, what we mean is that we multiply 6 by all the contents within the bracket. You want to remember that the relationship that exists between 6 and 3x minus 2 is that one of multiplication. So we can write this differently as 6 multiplied by 3x minus 2. So the relationship between them is one of multiplication. So we can regard 6 as a coefficient of 3x minus 2. Okay, so 3x minus 2 is actually a unit. We consider it like a unit. So it's easy for us to, even though we see it as a unit, but we want to distribute the number outside to all the different components of that unit. So to go ahead, and the first thing is that you want to go ahead and distribute. So 6 will go to 3x. At the same time, 6 will also go to number negative 2. So that's two things you're going to do. So let's go ahead and do the first one. Okay, so it's going to be 6 times 3x. Okay, you don't want to forget the sign, minus 6 times 2. Okay, so that's what it translates to. So when you remove the bracket, you distribute the number 6 to both terms within the bracket. So 6 times 3x, what does that give us? That gives us what? 18x. Minus 6 times 2 gives us 12. So what we have succeeded in doing is that we have removed the bracket, and then we have written the algebraic expression in a fully expanded form. And what we mean by expansion is that we have removed the bracket. Let's look at a few examples to help us concretize our understanding of this subject. Negative 4 into 6b minus q. So here we have a negative value outside of the bracket. Just like we worked with the positive value, we also do the same with the negative value. So the first step is that you want to distribute the numbers. So remember, this is the 4 is distributed to the 6b, and it's also distributed to the q. So it's also distributed to the q. So let's go ahead and write that out. So that's going to be negative 4, always remember your sign, multiplied by 6b minus negative 4 multiplied by q. Okay, so it's important to always pay attention to the sign, because if you miss out the sign, then the sign will be wrong, and then the answer will also be wrong. Okay, so negative 4 multiplied by 6b, 4 times 6 is 24, so that gives us negative 24p minus negative 4 multiplied by q gives us negative 4q. Okay, remember we put it in a bracket. So now negative multiplied by negative, so when you have negative multiplied by negative, it gives you positive. When you have negative multiplied by positive, it gives you negative. When you have positive multiplied by negative, it gives you negative. Okay, so in this case we have negative multiplying negative, that should give us positive. So that's going to be negative 24p plus 4q. So we can rearrange this because we don't want the negative to be in front, so we can write it as what? 4q minus 24p. 3x into 7 plus 2x. Now this is slightly different from what we have done so far. We notice here that the coefficient that is outside the bracket has an x included with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Well, the same thing applies. So we're going to have to distribute the term that is outside the bracket to all the contents of the bracket. So we distribute it to 7, and then we also distribute it to 2x. Okay, so we go ahead and write it out as 3x multiplied by 7 plus 3x multiplied by 2x. Okay, so 3x multiplied by 7, remember this is same as 3 times x times 7 plus 3 times x times 2 times x. Okay, so if you, so this becomes 3 times 7 times x, okay, plus 3 times 2 times x times x. Okay, so that you get a picture of the answer that we, so 3 times 7 is what? 21 times x, that's 21x, plus 3 times 2, that is 6, x times x is x squared. So the fully expanded form of 3x into 7 plus 2x gives us 21x plus 6x squared. What about 3a into x plus 5y? Just like we did the last one, we want to distribute the terms that is outside the bracket into the terms that are within the bracket. Okay, so you can go ahead to say this is the 3a multiplied by x plus 3a multiplied by 5y. Okay, so what is 3a multiplied by x? Well, that is 3 times a times x plus 3 times a times 5 times y. Okay, so this becomes 3ax plus 3 times 5 times a times y. So this is 3ax plus 15ay. So why don't you practice these questions? Pause the video and write them out and find solutions to it. And then in the next section, we'll look at it together and see what answers you have and whether they are the same answers as my own. Now let's check your answers. So here, the first one is 4 into 2x minus 2. So we distribute 4 to 2x and to negative 2. So 4 times 2x, that's 4 times 2x, and 4 times negative 2. So 4 times 2x is 8x, and 4 times negative 2 is what? Negative 8. So it's 8x minus 8. Okay, now let's look at the next one. 3 over 4 into 4x minus 12y. So we distribute 3 over 4 into the first term 4x, and to the second term negative 12y. So 3 over 4 times 4x, so 4 cancels 4 there, so that leaves us with 3x, and then minus 3 over 4 times 12y. 4 goes through 12 3 times, and that leaves us with 3. 3 times 3, that gives us 9. So it's 3x minus 9y. Okay, what about 2a into a over 2 plus b over 2? So it's 2a multiplied by a over 2 plus 2a multiplied by b over 2. So here the 2 cancels out, so you have a squared. Here the 2 also cancels out, you have ab. So it's going to be a squared, it's a squared plus ab. So a squared plus ab is the answer there, not over 2, because the 2 already has cancelled out. So we cancelled out the 2, and so we don't have 2 there. So it's a squared plus ab. Okay, so for the next one, it's 1 over 7 a times 21. Okay, a plus 35 over a squared. So 1 over 7 a multiplied by 21a. So here 1 over 7a is the same thing as a over 7. So the a cancels out, and then 7 goes to 21, 3. So we're left with 3 on this side. Then we go to the next one, 1 over 7a multiplied by 35a squared. So a cancels one of the a here, because we still have a as a denominator here. And then 7 goes to 35 5 times. So the answer is going to be 3 plus 5 over a. So how did you do? I hope you did well. So as a take home, it's important to remember what expansion is. Expansion simply means removal of brackets, and once you remove the brackets, whatever content that is outside the bracket, you always try to distribute it to the things, the terms that are found within the bracket. Remember, regard the term that is outside the bracket as a coefficient of all the contents of the bracket. That's it on expansion of algebraic expression part 1. Thank you for watching.